a real quarterback, Tommy Contenta, the head assistant, and our coach, Gino DeMarco. So tell me about him.
Rob, I did play quarterback
I'll hold it. Just go ahead.
for 2 days for my uncle Rich Pinchotti in Pop Warner League. And I threw the ball a couple times, and he screamed over to John McCutcheon, "You let this kid play shortstop?" And from then, I couldn't wear number 10 anymore. So
It took your uncle 2 days to figure out you couldn't be a quarterback?
I think he did it.
That's a long time.
I think he did it just because, well, whatever. Family
Family
pressure.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but no, quarterback, I'm not a quarterback. This guy, so we recruit Tom coming out of New Brighton. And New Brighton had such incredible teams for so long. And kudos to Coos for getting it back this year.
Absolutely.
But I have never went in and talked to Tom, and we talked about it. He was quarterback. He was MVP of the conference the year that New Brighton was in there and beat
MVP of the MAC.
MVP of the MAC.
Wow,
All right,
I didn't know that, Tommy.
So this is what's very interesting is just this morning, Doug Haddix and I and Jeff McKenna are talking about MVPs from New Brighton because Doug wants to put them maybe in his barbershop. And Mike Holleran, Tom Quintana,
Yeah, baby, I'm loving this.
Tom Haddix,
Ricky Groves, you got to get.
and Benny Haddix. Those four guys from New Brighton, he's one of the four that have been MVP of the conference for the entire year. He's one of four New Brighton
I
guys.
never knew.
I just found that out this morning.
But as
I'm
far
just
as
finding out right now.
as
So
far as quarterbacks go, you got to throw Ricky Groves in there, Skip Kluka in there.
Yeah,
Been
I
some
know,
great
I
quarterbacks.
know, but they weren't MVP of the
No,
conference.
no.
Okay, so they don't fit in that group. Okay, keep
And
going.
Mr. Haddix, of course, who
And
paddled.
he's the greatest man.
Hey.
You know what? We should have one show and just talk about the Haddix family.
Let me just tie up the loose ends here. So
Sure.
guess whose birthday it is today? A legend from New Brighton who lives in Wisconsin now, who was one of the coolest guys on the planet, and I just wanted to be him because of everything he did. Steve Tusick,
Steve.
his birthday. Happy birthday,
Oh, well,
Happy birthday.
I played ball with his brother Dennis, and yeah.
Steve. But now listen, his best friend was Harry Eccles, Horace.
Oh, Harry. Yeah.
Now listen,
Go ahead.
this is where it gets even better. Last day of sixth grade, Harry and I started throwing erasers at each other.
Yeah.
Mr. Haddix took some action.
Oh,
I bet.
that Mr.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I simply did? He started it.
Right.
No. But, yeah, I just love the Haddix family. But that little jump pass
Tom.
that made famous,
Never.
whenever I see it, I think about it. Ricky Groves did it. But anyway, we're going to talk about some of the greatest quarterbacks in Western Pennsylvania. Some of the names may surprise you. They're not all from Western Pennsylvania. They obviously have a connection to Western Pennsylvania. And you know one of the names that popped up just before the national championship game, and a guy by the name of Mike from the McKees Rock came up to me at Pirate Fest and said, Rob, you're talking about all this Notre Dame stuff and quarterbacks. Don't forget Tommy Clemens, who went to Canavan,
No
Bishop
doubt,
Canavan.
Bishop
I know,
Canavan.
what a player, right?
And he just retired as a coach. Tommy Clemens, if I'm correct, has a law degree and decided just to continue in football. And incredible coach. He just retired and had a long run of it. But yeah, he's a Canavan guy. Good one.
All right,
That's a good one.
let's talk about Joe Montana. Go ahead.
Joe Montana. Actually, the first biography I ever read as a kid. Did a book report on it, and it was How to Play Quarterback. I didn't even play quarterback at the time. And it was the first book I read from front to back.
Is this your senior year at New Brighton?
Yeah, first book? Yeah, thanks. No, it was probably fourth grade. Easy read, you know what I mean? Get it done in a week or so. But unbelievable. Local kid. Know some people that went to Ringgold with him. And class act, typical guy. Everybody wanted to be him growing up. You know what I mean?
And you know who his coach was at Ringgold? Chuck Abramski, who coached at New Brighton.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes.
And he, too, went on to play football for the Fighting Irish of
He
Notre
did.
Dame.
And Chuck Abramski actually coached Jeff Castile at Cal.
The great thing is if you read the autobiography, did you know that he actually was offered to be on the basketball team as well, but had to get it okayed by the football coaches, and the football coaches said, absolutely not.
Excellent. No, I didn't mean it like that, but excellent read, sorry.
Now, I believe, with all due respect to everybody, even my man Broadway Joe, the greatest quarterback to ever come out of Western Pennsylvania, number 13 in University of Pittsburgh Panther program, Dan Marino.
Danny Marino. He's just as old as I am. And
He's that old. No.
He's that old. I still, and we're not going to ever let it go. We're not. And it's the reason that the Steelers took Pickett is because we were all upset. Why wouldn't they take Danny Marino from Pitt?
But how about this? Kenny Pickett could be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy in a week and a few days. Talk about the football gods.
Kenny Pickett kind of trashed Mount West Virginia once, and I'll never talk to him again. But
Danny Marino was a good,
Quickest release. He was known from throwing from his ear, and he still had the arm strength as a lot of guys.
But here's another example. We were talking about baseball, shortstop earlier. Pat Mahomes, and you're a quarterback. Do you look for that? Say if you're at like a Senior Bowl and you're looking at a quarterback, if they got a bit of a baseball background, does that even come into your thought process? Because Marino, name it, they were both exceptional baseball players.
Sometimes when you're just the best athlete, you're the best athlete. And a lot of times those guys are your third baseman, your shortstops, your center fielders. But I want the guy who's got that innate ability to just lead. They got something that they're just wired a little different. They step into the huddle and they perform on the field. When play breaks down, they make things happen.
that's good. Tom was a horrible baseball player, so I would have the answer that I would give you is there's no correlation between that. But absolutely, what he just said, you want the guy that walks in the huddle and it tells everybody to shut up. And I've seen it happen in Division I. We had a kid down at Georgia Tech, John Dewberry, that was about 5'10", and he was such an intense leader that everybody in that huddle shut up when he walked in.
All right, here's another guy. The reason Broadway Joe wore 19 in high school, Johnny Unitas, who went to Mother of the Mount up on Mount Washington, played for that semi-pro team, the Bloomfield Rams, had a cup of coffee like Len Dawson with the Steelers, and they said, get on with your life's work, and he found his life's work in Baltimore. Arguably brought the game into the modern era, Johnny Unitas. Go ahead.
So you look at Johnny Unitas, and it's, you know you're someone special when all the guys from that 80 crew that was coming out and winning Super Bowls in the 90s, that's who they wanted to be. And he's kind of like the guy you're looking at now. You wanted to be, John Elway. You wanted to be Montana. Now the guys are growing up. They want to be Mahomes. He was that original who everybody wanted to be.
He's right. Good stuff. Now, this is the one that I always forget, but life begins after 40. George Blanda from Western Pennsylvania. Talk about his grit and how that man could not only throw the ball, but he could kick the football too.
Yes, it's one of the things I look for when we're recruiting quarterbacks is can they kick?
This is the bygone era we're talking about.
It's a bygone area. Blanda, where was he from? Erie? No, that's Bolitnikoff.
Yeah.
Where's Blanda
Fred
from?
Bolitnikoff, what a player.
Just don't get sidetracked. But where's
I'm trying
Blanda?
to sidetrack you because I don't
You
remember.
don't know.
No.
Okay, no. So he's.
It's a coal mining town somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Just tough. Tough guy. He said it. The number one thing you look for a quarterback is toughness, because everybody thinks the quarterback is this and that. The quarterback's going to get whacked in the back of the head. At least when we played real football, not like today's rules. And you want a guy that's tough, that's going to lead. And, you can see Blanda in that. Right.
All right, Joe Namath literally transformed the game. Super Bowl III made this game what it is today, a multi-billion-dollar business. He put the sizzle in the steak in the NFL, and the guy could flat out throw the football. Go ahead, Tommy.
Obviously, being Western Pennsylvania guy, we all know about him. We've watched all of his stuff. You've seen old film on him, and that was the standard for Western Pennsylvania quarterbacks whenever, especially Beaver County guys coming out. And my Spanish teacher had quite the crush on him whenever I was coming out of New Brighton High School. So we knew a lot about him because she was always commenting.
Who was that Spanish teacher?
Senora Crespo.
Oh,
She's
okay.
now remarried, so that's not her name, but yeah.
Listen,
By the
everybody
way-
had a crush on Joe Namath.
That's all I know in
By the way,
Spanish also,
listen.
Senora.
By the way, listen.
Senorita.
Senorita.
That's okay.
Yeah, still screwed it
And
up.
that's only because I listened to the Springsteen song. All right.
Listen, this is all the Spanish I know. Hola, Isabella, ¿cómo estás? ¿Estoy bien, gracias, y tú?
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
good.
He too.
Mr. Walker, the greatest teacher ever. I had the ability to memorize, but I really could not
Oh.
basically translate any of that.
Well, let's get back to Joe Namath.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Every time somebody comes to Geneva College, our admissions people give them a presentation about the college, and they talk about what a great area we are for sports, especially football, because Joe Namath played on our field.
Absolutely.
You know, and it is amazing because there's so much stuff that's been done, and you guys said it so. I'm going to say this. There's so much talked about his Broadway, you know, his style and everything he did. I would love for somebody to actually give him accolades for what he did as a quarterback on the field at Alabama. The leader stepping into a huddle. They won a national championship with him. He went to the Jets. He willed that team to beat the Colts. That changed NFL football forever. And that is the thing that I wish people would talk about more about him in the huddle as a quarterback. The grit, the leadership, the natural ability, the footwork. Coach Bruno would talk about his footwork all the time being the best there is. And I'm just saying this from a football coach's standpoint, an evaluation of who he is. And all these tangible things he has as a football player, not the mystique of Joe Namath and everything else that went with it. This guy is one of the best football players who has ever played in the NFL, and people don't recognize that because there's so much attention put on him about the glamour and all that. Beside the
He
glamour,
was a good football player.
no, this is what I'm saying to you. It's like this guy had all the attributes to be the quarterback.
And he'd had healthy legs. Imagine what he would have done.
And the thing is, I mean, yeah, so he has surgery on his knees, which if that happened today, he'd be back out on the field.
Right.
So
Frank Morocco told me a story that he was sent to scout Joe Namath. And there's a reason why Larry Bruno was the magical coach, because he did sleight of hand and stuff.
Right.
He literally told his wife at the time, who was with him, I can't find the ball. I can't see the ball. He's sitting here at Reeve Stadium, could not find the ball. He had this technique of handing off, doing whatever, that you would actually lose the ball in your line of sight. That's how much technique Larry Bruno taught Joe to do, more than just throwing the ball. Joe could do a whole lot more, and he had healthy legs then too, and he could scoot. So you're right, absolutely. Up next, it is Jim Kelly. 4 straight he goes.
that figure that just walked in front of us was our beloved athletic director, Van Zanik. And since we're talking about Western Pennsylvania quarterbacks, I would really love to find out which one do you think is the greatest?
Come over here, Ben. Come here. Just come into the picture. Take this.
Hey, I love his hat. Keep the hat
Should I
on.
keep my hat on?
Yeah, yeah.
That is
Jump
great.
in here. Take
Look,
this.
look.
Go ahead.
This is,
I look like you, Rob. Huh?
Listen, you're much more handsome than
The
me.
greatest Western Pennsylvania quarterback?
Yeah.
Dan Marino. Hands down.
There
That
you
was
go,
quick,
baby.
too. That was a quick
that's
answer.
because he's younger, he didn't understand the whole Namath thing, okay?
Namath? Are we talking Armstrong?
Listen,
Come on,
Namath
Rob.
was good, but listen, Marino's in a different
You're
class.
gonna have to watch the video, because I gave a coach's view of what and who Joe Namath was as a player. So you need to watch it
If
because.
Joe Namath wouldn't have won Super Bowl III, Joe Namath wouldn't be Joe Namath.
See?
True.
And I love Joe, but he's right. If Marino wins that second sophomore year, that Super Bowl, he's looked upon even
He's
greater.
with Montana and company.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what? If I have eyebrows, I'm still doing TV.
Vin Diesel over here.
Listen, this
I
is
love that shirt jacket, by the way.
what I said to
no,
him.
listen to me. He's got this Beaver Falls jacket on, all right? But underneath,
I didn't even
he's
realize
got the
this.
crimson and
Lion
gold.
pride.
Yes, I
Lion
mean,
pride.
can you
Listen,
write
this is why
He walks-
anybody being recruited by this crew, you
No,
need to come to
listen,
Geneva
you gotta
College.
come to Geneva. He walks in to the hallway. He's got the hat on, right?
Well,
And
that's-
I'm like,
I
he
wear
just-
this hat because of you and Joe
Yeah,
Dentisi.
well, I know that, but I have hats like that. I got a lot of hats like that.
I
I wore
love
mine
'em.
today. He comes in and says, "Hey, look what I got at a knife store or something," that he had to go to over the weekend over in Latrobe. And I'm
An
like,
ice store.
"Look, what was it? An ice store?
Ice sculpture.
Ice sculpture. Ice sculpture.
Close,
ice
you were
store.
close.
Yeah,
You
look at
know,
here.
you look at here.
You know
They
who
go
else?
by ice.
You know who else wears those hats?
But the hats, yeah, it's just Ronnie Shiro on the sideline wore them forever. But who
And
else?
also a good friend from DJ's Ribs, Tony Ferraro. Tony, this guy needs to be into that Italian Coaches Hall of
Please,
Fame.
whatever has to happen.
Long overdue.
Tony,
This is the
Tony,
guy.
I want to hunt you down and find you.
All right, let's get back.
Listen,
Thanks.
Thanks,
I-
Van.
hats. You know what? Can I coach in that next year?
All right,
Why
now
don't we
look.
buy them all for staff, Van?
Listen,
Staff.
I got too much work to do, but let's get
Well,
to the
this
point
is
here.
work.
All right. Quarterbacks that aren't from here, but one more guy deserves recognition. Tyler Palco was a great quarterback.
Oh, Ty Palco, yes, he was. He was really a tough kid, leader. Had no business playing at Pitt by the statue of
Marino.
Marino, and
But I think Harris did a pretty good job with
I
him.
think Walt Harris did a great job with them. I really do. I think the thing about it is that's another guy that's tough as nails. His dad's a coach. He's going to find a way to win. He just is not going to. He's not going to give up. I mean, these
Well-
guys are. That's what you want.
And
I
if you-
came out the same year as Tyler. We passed scrimmage against each other. It was me, him, Justin Shiro, Matt Brown. There was a ton of guys coming out of the Whitfield that year, and I mean, he was the best of the best of us coming out that year. And
Well, what talent.
I mean,
that
you
year.
want to talk about a guy that led. I mean, that was like having a linebacker in the quarterback room.
Listen, we were interviewing him when we were doing the Rhino production. He was in 9th, 10th grade. He was like
Yeah.
a freshman in college, and he just was so together.
Yeah.
All right, a couple of other guys, not from here, but we got to talk about. And I'm going to tell you why I think Ben's the greatest of all time. But Terry Bradshaw, what did he bring to the game? Go ahead.
Terry Bradshaw again. People just make fun of him. Everything else. I mean, incredible arm. Just incredible
Grit.
confidence and grit. Tough, absolutely tough. And all of us in Pittsburgh just kept it's because he was from Louisiana. We're up here in Pittsburgh and just telling everybody how dumb he is, and I don't think he's that dumb. I really don't.
Great player.
Just amazing.
Now, you realize, too, who was the quarterback, and this kind of gets me back to why we're talking Western Pennsylvania. When he comes in, Terry Hanratty, who was a great quarterback.
Butler.
Yeah, I mean, people seem to forget number 5 in your Steelers program, but when he was at Butler, he was fantastic. They had some monumental matchups, and then he goes to Notre Dame as a freshman with 4 all-state freshmen at the same time competing for that future job with Ara Parsegian. So cannot forget Terry Hanratty, but Bradshaw gets that Monday nighter, throws the bomb to Shanklin, and the rest is history.
Do we not have Jim Kelly on this list?
I mentioned him already.
You did?
Yeah, didn't I? Jim Kelly. If I did.
Dan walked in the middle of the Jim
Oh,
Kelly talk.
okay. I thought I mentioned Jim Kelly. Well, let's go back and finish with, yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
So
so
let's,
Jim Kelly.
We didn't
Yeah.
talk about him yet, but
go
No,
ahead,
comment.
talk about him. Jim Kelly out, East Brady, go.
That guy was in 4 Super Bowls. I don't.
In a row,
In a row. My
after
God.
spending years in the USFL.
Unbelievable. Just, he's got to be in. So if he wins the Super Bowl, we're talking about him in such a different light. But because, they ran the greatest offense at that time, I still got some stuff on my board from one of the coaches that I clinicked with, who was part of that staff with that K-gun offense. That's how innovative they were back then.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, he went to University of Miami, didn't he? I think he did. So would that have been Schnellenberger or would that have been Jimmy Johnson, I wonder? But
It was Paulie Schnellenberger. Yeah.
he was a good coach, too. All right, let's talk Bradshaw.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he was very good. Go ahead, talk Bradshaw.
well, Bradshaw, before my era, but you see everything on him. You hear from him. He's on TV every weekend. And you look at all these guys on the list, and they're all, the alpha guy in the room, but the ultimate competitor. And I look at the guys, and some of these guys are still competing now in everything they do to stay relevant in whether it's media. You look at a guy, Kelly, he's beat cancer 3 times now.
Amazing.
And just,
Good man.
unbelievable stories that these guys have.
All right, last one, the greatest Steeler and maybe one of the greatest to ever play the game. Just had to be a part of that Brady era, Ben Roethlisberger. We'll probably never in our lifetime, but God has given me the gift to watch Josh Allen because he reminds me everything that is Ben. I would love to see something like that again in my lifetime, but I knew from the jump. When he went in for Maddox that one Sunday when Maddox got hurt and they went on a 15-1 run or something like that, he gave us such a gift and pure joy in Pittsburgh. We'll never see that complete package probably ever again. Ben Roethlisberger out of the MAC. Go ahead.
I think the big thing for me that stood out is he just willed his way to make plays.
Oh.
He refused to give up on a play. Sometimes it cost him a little early with big hits early on in his career, but he always adapted. He found a way, and you just want to see, unbelievable. We are very fortunate as fans to get to watch it, where I think towards the end of his career, everybody wanted him out of town. And as soon as he left town, you see what an average quarterback in Pittsburgh looks like. The guy won a ton of games for us that we wouldn't have won without him.
We've talked about the elite. The thing with Roethlisberger is, for me, being older and seeing how he has matured as a man and become a Christian father and what he's doing in the community now, it's just, I'm so elated and so happy that that's happened to him. And he has some ties to Geneva. I'm not going to mention them on air because I don't think it's anybody's business. But to see what's happened to him personally,
It's good.
it's really good. We're talking about quarterbacks and great quarterbacks, but there's other quarterbacks that have started for NFL teams that are from Western Pennsylvania. Chuck Fusino.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and
Gus
then
Frerotte.
Gus Frerotte, and then you have this guy Charlie Batch. These guys actually were good enough to start on NFL football.
Charlie
teams.
he was the guy in Detroit for a long time. How about Kevin Colbert going back into the business of consulting with Colorado State? That's pretty cool, huh?
Colorado State.
Yeah.
Kevin's back.
Yeah, they're going to do some consulting. But here's a couple of other quarterbacks. Didn't make it to the big show, but I think if they're coming up today, they have a golden opportunity when you look what's happening in the league and that athleticism. Rod Rutherford and Major Harris.
Major.
I'd give anything to have those guys coming through right now because I think they would have definitely got a chance and they could have played on the big stage. They were exceptional quarterbacks, exceptional football
Well,
players.
I listened to something that Rodriguez was talking about, and West Virginia showed yesterday. And I know Rich, Rich would, just think what Rich would do if he had Major Harris now. Huh? What he would do. Yeah, he was special. But that was a great opportunity in my life to be able to say that, hey, yeah, I took one of these. I drove him home on his recruiting visit when I was at West Virginia. Saw him play 3 games his senior year when I was coaching there. Yeah.
Special.
Special. Rutherford's special too.
Oh, love Rod Rutherford.
You look at some other guys that made it to the league. They were quarterbacks in high school, but played a different position also. A couple Aliquippa guys jump out at me. You have Darrelle Revis, who played all over the field.
Yeah, man.
He scored touchdowns at almost every position in the state championship game that year. You look at Josh Bernard-Lay, who played multiple years. They go to Pitt, and they're both the starting corners, and they're 3-4 years apart. And then they both make it to the league, and they're playing defensive back. Josh played a couple years for the Saints as well.
I tell you what made my day. The greatest coach in the history of the NFL, Bill Belichick, love him to death. He said, great players make great coaches. Great players. You got to have the players. You got to have the players. So he starts rattling off all of these names. And Gronk obviously played in Pittsburgh for a year. But when he said Ty Law, I literally had to put my car in park, and I just kept talking to the radio. Thank you, coach. Thank you, coach. That, to me, if I'm a player, and he's rattling through this list saying, this is what's made me who I am, and he even says your name. just a split second, that's made my career. And I thought that was really special. Next week, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the game. But before we go, real quick, looking at these two quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Pat Mahomes. Just real quick, go ahead, Coach.
I'll take both of them. No,
Yeah.
but you have those unique dynamics. They both can win the game with their legs or with their arms. I mean, and you will see both of them do things that nobody else can do in the league. And that's why they're where they're at. I mean, it's a quarterback-driven league, and these are the best of the best.
This is why I think Justin Fields is still the guy. You got to take a busted play and turn it into a big play. You have to have hope. You have to have possibility. Anytime that person, that quarterback, has their hands on the football, almost what Josh Allen did last week when that blitz in the final few minutes of the game pretty much stalled them out. That pass literally could have been caught. It was a tough catch, but it could have been caught. But you have to have a quarterback who can make things happen when everything else seems to be closing down around them. It's that important.
I think the difference, though, between the two of them is their approach and their confidence in what they do. I think Mahomes has exactly the same mindset of what Namath had.
Yeah.
Is what, you talk about our guy from the 49ers at Montana. You talked about, Dan Marino, guys that just said, absolutely, I'll Ben Roethlisberger, I will get you there, and I will carry you on my back as a team. I mean, Jalen Hurts is an incredible human being, a credible leader. What I'm saying, the thing that this other kid has is he's got that refusal to lose. You have to, we say this in coaching, and we don't mean it physically, but, to beat him, you got to kill him. I mean, seriously, that's that attitude that I think he has just over Jalen Hurts.
Now remember, Hurts was just in this game a couple of years ago. He's back again. He's only 27, and Pat Mahomes is 29. So Jalen Hurts, he gets this one. He's going to be doing some damage for years to come, too.
Absolutely.
Tommy Contenta, head assistant, Gino DeMarco, the coach, your Pratt Pack, much more later today. Stay with us, and don't forget the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show this weekend. And we'll be talking the Senior Bowl. We got that Power Bowser basketball game tonight. Hope you'll tune in for that, Central Valley and Avonworth. We'll have results on that, Pitt basketball, and, of course, the National Football League. There were sports reports throughout the weekend, and you have the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show every Sunday after local news at 11. More sports at 93.7thefan.com.